Hello, and thank you for watching this REDCap demo day. Today we're going to cover hiding choices so that we don't delete data. We're recording this on REDCap version 15.0.22. Okay, and I always want to remind folks here at WashU, there's plenty of helpful links located throughout REDCap, training links, support links, things like that. Be sure to check those out. Before we start, I just want to acknowledge that this presentation is based off a training session called Don't Delete, How to Hide Items in REDCap by Caitlin Hoffman, who's a REDCap administrator at Thomas Jefferson University, recorded last year. And I will actually, when I post this recording, I will post the slides and recording from that other session as well. So what we'll go through today, go over the purpose of this topic, the tools used for the topic, then we'll go through some demonstrations after I talk about each of these tools. But as you can see, some of them, the @hidden action tags and @HIDECHOICE, if you're wondering if I use them, this is the ticket system that I use to track questions from our users. And as you can see on this particular page, I have a @hidden and or hide choice on every single one of these fields. So I use this I use these processes quite often. Okay, so why do we do this? Or why do we need to know about this? Basically, every project goes through some sort of modification throughout its life. Any project that takes place over time most likely is going to have some sort of modification to a form, a change in workflow, whether you're just changing language, whether you're changing choices for multiple choice options, or maybe you've got some fields that are no longer relevant. Maybe you've got some quality assurance fields that you had to push a yes every time something happened, and eventually you realize it was just extra work. You don't need it anymore, but you don't want to delete all that data. You don't want to change the meaning of data that's already collected. So up here where I've got kind of my purpose for this, I think the two most kind of important points are how to do this without deleting or changing the meaning of data already collected. So some of the issues that happen with this, if we edit language in fields, data that were collected before the edits appear to have answered the new language. We'll go through some examples of that in the demonstration. And if you change the options for multiple choice, or you change the label for a specific coded choice, I should say, it may make records look like they selected something that they actually didn't. So this is, I see people modify yes, no fields to drop down fields quite a bit. So in this situation, you've got a yes, no field coded as 1 and 0. And then somebody comes in and says, well, I want to add a not sure. I still want my first number to be 0. So I'm going to change this to yes is 0, 1 is no, and then 2 is not sure. Well, if you've already got 10 people who've answered yes and 10 people who answered no, when it's 1 and 0, 1 is yes, 0 is no, and then you switch those, so 0 is yes and 1 is no, the 10 people who answered no previously are now going to appear as answering yes. And I think the main thing here, and maybe I should have highlighted this more, is that when REDCap collects this data in the background, the thing that matters the most is the code, not necessarily the label. So if you swap the label with the code, or you change this label and put it with this code, the data that has this code is going to stay the same. So the data or the records that have yes are going to move down here to no. Okay, so we'll go through some ways how you can change that without changing the meaning of your data. And then when you remove fields that are no longer relevant, or if you delete a field, the data that was in that field basically becomes detached from the records, meaning like there's no way for you to access it. It still lives in the project or in the back end of REDCap, but once that field, that variable name is no longer there, um, there's no way for you to access that data. And you can reattach it by creating new field with the same variable name. So if you delete uh, a field that's first name and all of a sudden you can't access people's first name, just recreate that first name field and you'll be able to. And I use the word attach and detach. You might see the word when you recreate a field, you may see that it's going to reconnect to orphaned data. So you may see that term in REDCap when you're doing that. But one thing to point out here is that if you delete a field, you are making it so you can't access the data from that field. Okay, so what we're going to use today to make these modifications without deleting data or changing the meaning of data, we're going to use a lot of hidden action tags. And there's a family of hidden action tags that hide fields from the person entering data while the data still remains in the project. So there is the straight up at hidden action tag, which hides fields from a form and a survey. But note, not the PDF. So if you download a PDF of the data, or if you're using eConsent, the at hidden will not hide the field from a PDF. So if you're outputting a PDF or sharing a PDF with the participant, make sure to use the at hidden PDF. So here you can see it. At times I have both hidden PDF and hidden survey. So I'm trying to hide it from a survey and from a PDF. But anyway, that kind of gives away the next two here. So if you do hidden survey, it hides it from the survey, but not a form or PDF. If you do hidden PDF, it hides fields from a PDF download, but not a form or survey. Now, one thing I'm realizing right now, I forgot one, because in addition to hidden survey, there is hidden dash form, which is just the opposite of hidden survey, in which case that is a field that you wouldn't see if you're logged into REDCap and you're looking at it as a form, but somebody taking it as a survey would see that field. Okay. And then finally, hidden app. And this hides for mobile app only. Okay, so just know that it's mobile app only, REDCap mobile app. That does not necessarily mean MyCap. MyCap and the mobile app are two different things. We also have HIDECHOICE and SHOWCHOICE. HIDECHOICE, you list basically the number of choices that you want to hide from whoever's entering data, but the data already collected will still remain in the background for that choice. SHOWCHOICE is just the opposite. If you only want to show a specific number of choices, you can. And an important thing here is that choices don't need to be in numerical order. So, if I was going to get rid of kidney disease as a choice and add in some other condition, let's just say cardiovascular disease, I don't necessarily need to replace kidney disease with cardiovascular disease so that it goes 1, 2, 3. I could hide kidney disease and then just put cardiovascular disease. I could put the number 4 in between 1 and 3. So you don't have to keep them in numeric order when you make those changes. I do think sometimes when people make the change, they think they have to have the choices in numeric order. So maybe if they're getting rid of the first one, they just move everything up 1, when really all they should just do is hide that first one and then keep the 2, 3, 4, or whatever it starts at, because the person doesn't ever see these coded choices. The person filling it out, they only see the labels, so doesn't really matter what order they're in. And then the final thing we'll do is use branching logic to hide. specific fields. So here you can use date difference and set it to greater than or less than 0. So if you have some date in your project, such as an enrollment or visit date, and then there's some reference date when a modification was made, you can set up a date difference. And the way this works is it subtracts the first number from the second number. So when I do this, dates prior to the reference give a positive number. So anything before where the date screen was before yesterday, 7/17/2025, this will appear. And anything after 17, on or after July 17th, then this one will appear. Okay, with that, let's switch over and do some demonstrations. And for those of you here live, if you would like to download a file of the instrument I'm using, you can do that with what I just put in there. This link will be available with the recording. But basically what I have here is a real simple form, just a study interest form. And let's say we are collecting data, but over time things have to change. So let me go ahead and just fill this out once. We'll say I filled this out on July 7th. Said this. Maybe we will say this and yes. And submit. Close my survey. Okay, so we have 2 people here. And both of them have said yes. And let's just say at some point, we decide in our study that our survey is too long, and anybody who takes this is going to be interested. We're just going to contact them anyway. So I'm gonna delete this field. Okay. Submit changes for review. For me, it doesn't like this, and I'm in production. You can probably you can do this in a project that's not production to make these changes easier. But whenever you delete a field, it comes to us to make sure it's okay. And let me just say, I delete this. No longer need it. But before a certain date, it was there, and the IRB may be required, by my IRB application over a certain date, I may have been required to ask that question. And if I go to export, you can see it's not there. I don't have data there anymore. I've deleted that field, so I cannot get to that data for that field. Okay, now let's say, I've done that already. How do I get it back? Well, if you've already had data collected in that field and you need it back, probably the easiest way is go project home, project revision history, and you can compare the current version to previous versions, and it looks like I deleted a field named participate. So I'm just going to highlight that, copy it, and I'll highlight this, copy it. Just go back to my designer. I'm just going to rebuild this form field real quick. Oops, do want it to not be required. Because if you hide a field that's required, it will still block the person from completing. So you want to make sure you make them unrequired if you're hiding them. But now if I submit, okay, added fields, let's see if it worked the way I thought. Yep, okay, so I've got it back here. Okay, so I want this data still here. I just don't want that field to have to be answered anymore. So I can go and I can just add @hidden. And at this point, it's going to be hidden from both if I go look at it in the form, it's not there. If I were to open the survey, question's not there. But if I export, ta-da, data is there. Okay, so the data is still stored there. It's more of just a visual where it just hides that field in the background. One other thing to show is if I were to download this with data, oops, maybe. Let's see if I can get this open. Yeah, there we go. So it's still there. It's still there on the PDF, even though we hid it from the form and survey. So let's go a little further with this. Enter draft mode. Say I just don't want the people on the survey to see it, but I can still see it when it's a form. Now this, for a yes/no question, hidden survey may not make sense, but a lot of times you hide things on the survey, such as a score. If there's a score being calculated on a survey or a questionnaire, but you don't really want the person taking it to see their score in real time, you can hide it on a survey. And you can also put two of these together. So let's do @hidden survey and @hidden -PDF. And gotta submit it because I'm in production mode. A lot of times, if you make the change and you're in production, that could be something that if you don't see the change, could be the issue. So there, I can see it as a form because I have hidden survey. Now let me download this again. Oops, I don't want to download the blank one. Let's download with saved data. And there is no yes/no here because I've hidden it from the PDF. So it's hidden from the survey, or hidden, not hidden from the form. It is hidden from the PDF. If I open it as a survey, not there. Okay. And now, just for completeness sake, let's do the opposite of the hidden survey. And let's change it to hidden form. So if there's anything you want to hide from the person when they're in REDCap, but not from the survey participant, you can do that. So when I come in here, I can't see the yes/no on any of the previous folks. Or if I add a new record as a form, I can't see it here. But if I go to my survey distribution tools, I can see my yes/no. Okay. Okay, going back here. So those are your hidden action tags, where you can hide in various ways to make sure you keep the data, but you don't have to collect any data moving forward. Now we have HIDECHOICE, SHOWCHOICE. Okay. Now again, on this one, we had a person who selected peripheral vascular disease. Okay. Now if I go in and just delete that, just say here, let me go in and I'll delete it. I'm actually gonna cut this just so I have it because I'll add it back in. Submit the changes for review. Again, these ones have to be reviewed if you're removing a choice or modifying a choice. I'm going to go ahead and commit the changes. And I'll export the data or view my report. And you can see there's only two choices here. Only two choices here. Okay, so I've lost my data, my choices. Choice number 3 for that. So if I go back in here and add it back in, it looks like I will run over a little, so please don't hesitate to drop off at 12:30, but I will go through and do a few more demos after it passes 12:30. Okay. And now we've got a yes. Or sorry, wrong one. Now we've got the peripheral vascular disease where my person is checked here. So let's just see a way we can do that where we no longer ask about peripheral vascular disease, but we can still see our previous data. So we'll do hide choice equals 3. Submit for review. So if I go to my record status dashboard, whoops, I did something wrong. Well, let me see. So a new, oh, yes, sorry. Actually, I was showing you the purpose of it before. Yes, you could see it in people where it's already collected, but now moving forward, you only see peripheral neuropathy and kidney disease. And if I were to open a survey, that's all I see as well. But if I export my data or I go in and look at it as I did before, I still have the data there for the people who, um, people who it was there when they took the survey. And we can actually do the exact opposite where we say, we can say show choice 1, 2. It's exactly the same thing because I'm showing choices 1 and 2, but I won't be showing choice 3. Actually, maybe just to show a little bit of distinguishing from that, let me change it to only show choice 1. Okay. So in our already collected, we see peripheral vascular disease. If we go to a new one, we only see peripheral neuropathy. We only see choice 1. Now, interesting here, it shows choice one, it shows the one that was selected before, but it's no longer showing the one I didn't select. So it'll continue showing you ones that the previous record did select for a checkbox, but the one that wasn't selected for this record is no longer showing. Okay. So our final, if I go back to here, the final thing we're going to do is hide using branching logic and using a date. So let's say when we start our study, it's 6 months and 3 follow-up visits, but eventually we want 12 months and 6 follow-up visits, but we don't want the people who signed up for 6 and 3 to appear as though they signed up for 12 and 6. All right, so as we can see here, 6 and 3, if we just came in, said, all right, let's update our into 12 and 6, as you can probably anticipate at this point, they will be our people who signed up for 6 and 3 now appear 12 and 6. Okay. Let me make sure on our other date, 7/7. So these people both took this before July 17th. So let's say on July 17th, I had a modification go through. Everything was accepted, all good. Let's change this. So we don't want to change this. We want to keep this what it was originally, 6 months and 3 months. So showing you what could go wrong. Instead, we're going to make a new field. It will change that to 12 and 6. And then we're going to put some date diff branching logic in here. Okay. So let's go to, and actually we need this date screen. Okay, if you just left click on here, it actually copies it. You can see that note there. Copy the field to the clipboard, just click it. You don't have to highlight and then right click or anything. Just click on the name. It's now copied. So I'm going to go into my branching logic, go here. I'm going to say date diff, parentheses, square bracket. I'm going to paste my date screen, and I'm going to compare it to a date, which if I want to just type out a date, I'm going to do it in the year, month, and day format. And I'm going to surround it with quotation marks or tick marks. I'll say day. And then I'm going to put true here. The reason I put true here is just saying that I want there to be a plus or a minus or a positive or negative value. If you don't put true in there, it basically gives a positive value no matter what. So I'm going to say greater than 0 because I want this to appear if this date is less than this date. And the date diff subtracts this from this. So it's kind of backwards, at least from what I learned as a kid. It'd always be first number minus second number. This is second number minus first number. So if this number is smaller, i.e. the date is before this or a lower number than this, you'll get a value that's greater than 0 when you subtract these. And actually, I'm going to copy and paste this, and then I'm going to update and close. I'm going to save because I'm going to use very similar here. except I'm going to make this less than or equal to 0. So if it went through right on the 17th, we're going to say if it's equal to, as in if there was a date screen on the 17th, this one would appear. If you need exact time, like if you have somebody who took screening in the morning and and then you change it in the afternoon, you can add in the minutes and seconds to the date. But hopefully you can just do days because that's easier. Anyway, less than equal to 0, because if this is equal to or greater than this, we're going to get a positive. Sorry, what are we doing? Okay, wait. See, I always get these backwards. I really have to think through this. Okay, we're taking this one from this one. So if this one's bigger or equal to, we're going to get 0 or less. Okay, so if this is exactly 17, it's going to be 0. If it's the 18th, it's going to be -1. Okay, so that should not show when we're there. And of course, if this is wrong, we just go flip these around. But I do always have to think through that less than or greater than 0.
Me too, Chris.
Thank you. So if I go here, these should, oh man, okay. So, oh, okay. Sorry. You actually need to go in the date. So when you type a date into here, and of course I'm thinking about the other thing, so I didn't, oops, quite get this correct. You want it to match what this is. So it told me this was month, day, year. I get into the mode sometimes where REDCap only wants things in this day, month, year format, but this time it wants it this way because my date screen is in this format. So this should be enough to just get that to work. Hopefully. Oops. If it doesn't work, we'll say this is the premise of it, but I'll send out a correction. Here we go. Hey, there we go. Okay, so man. Oh, okay. This person's screening was 7/18. Okay, so they have the 12 uh the 12 and 6 months. For some reason I thought both of them had a lower date than the 17th, but let's see. So I think this one had the 7th. Yes. Okay, there we go. So anything before the 17th should show this. Let's go to designer now. Having the form, one thing I'm realizing that is a shortcoming of this is I have this on the date screening on the same form. So if I hit this, that's when this appears. Okay, so this usually, if you have this date here, it should be on another form. So maybe you have like a different form that you completed before the form that you need to do this on. But in this case, probably what you would have as opposed to the person entering this date is you would have this piped in, meaning it automatically enters the date. So let's say on my date, I do an at today and maybe an at. And this is something I might actually hide in a real study, but since this is just a demo, I'm going to do read only. That way it automatically pipes in, and whenever I open this survey, it should just automatically, oh, of course, the dreaded got to submit my changes for review. Okay. There we go. So you see here, it automatically pulls in today's date, and then it automatically pipes that in. So a lot of times on a screening form like this, you might have this as read only like I do, or you might have it hidden in the background. So that way the person's not filling in the date. You're just getting a date tag as soon as somebody takes it. But yeah, then so if I take this now, of course, works, got my 6 and 12 months. But if I go back to my person 2, actually, I think was the 7, yeah, they still have the 6 and 3 month. Okay. And there is one other way to do this if you plan ahead and you don't have to use the date diffs. What you can do is create a version field. So say, for example, we have a multiple choice field where it says version number. And in practice, you might use a date on here where it says the date of the version number. So we know that this was July 17th, 2025. Don't need a 0 on the 17, 2025. And maybe this was 17, 2024 or something like that. And what you can do moving forward, and again, this is where you'd have to make sure you'd done this from the beginning, because I can at default in version 2. And actually, I'd probably also want to make this hidden or read only. In practice, probably hidden from the person taking the survey, but for today, we'll do read only just so you can see it. And then instead of this, oops, actually, I'll just need to do, so this would actually just be version equal 1. And this would be version equal 2. And now because I'm defaulting in this 2, anybody moving forward, if I submit my changes, should automatically see version 2. Yep, so we have 6 and 12 month. Now, the reason you have to think about it beforehand is because if I go back to my people before, I don't see anything there. And that's because I don't have a 1 in there. So if I did this after the fact, I'd almost temporarily need to allow myself to enter data here. And go back for the previous one. So this person would have been number 1. There, it's there. And number 1 would have actually been version 2, which is a little strange. But there you go. So you can hide it with a date diff. That can be done basically anytime, and then you can add the version number, but it is a little more tricky doing the version number if you didn't start with it that way, because you'll have to go back and backfill the people who created version 1. or who answered to version 1. All right. Well, any questions?
No. Um,
All good?
this was super useful information, Chris. Thank you.
Great, great. Well, I'm glad to hear it, and I'm going to keep doing them. So even if it's just you and I, I'll be here. I'll be here next week again. So,
All right,
but
right on.
yep, and I will post them, and I'll put an announcement in the Teams page when I don't even have a page up for it now, but I'll
Mhm.
post them somewhere, and I'll put a link to it in the team
Perfect.
chat.
That'd be great.
Okay.
I will definitely come back to this one.
Okay. Cool. Thank you,
All
Eileen.
right.
Bye.